So hi, I'm Megan Wagstaff, and I own Lady Yum, as you just heard, which is a French macaron and champagne parlor right here in downtown Kirkland. And I've been asked to share with you all how I did it. How did I come to be making macaroons and mischief? And when I get asked that question, I really don't know how to answer it, because I'm not really sure how I did it. It was all kind of magic. But I'm hesitant to give that answer because I know it sounds a little silly or maybe disingenuous because, well, magic is magic, and it literally means influencing the course of events through mysterious actions. But I honestly feel that way about it, so putting something as illogical as magic into a logical, easy-to-follow talk for you all has been a little challenging, so bear with me. Now, there's a lot of definitions of magic out there, but the one that resonated with me the most was this. Magic is the science of understanding oneself and one's conditions and the art of applying that understanding in action. So I'm going to start my story with when I went to college. And when I left Hoona, Alaska, population 800, for college at 17, I couldn't wait to get into the real world. And the real world, for me at that time, was any place that had more than one channel on TV, malls where I could buy things, and fast food. But almost immediately upon entering this real world, I felt a little out of place, kind of like I didn't belong. And one of the first things I remember from my first days at PLU was the girls thought I was so weird because I never owned a purse, like a handbag. And we didn't need handbags in Hoona. But nonetheless, I went out and bought 5 because I didn't want to be weird. And I continued to do things like that for the next 10 years. I continued to let society and other people kind of dictate my actions. And when I went to college, I saw laid out for me a pretty clear, easy-to-follow, step-by-step path to success. That was choose a major, get a degree, get a job, make money, get married, start a family, and then you adult. So that's what I did. And so I chose a major. I chose business because that was the most practical, and I figured that the probability of me making money with a business degree was much greater than if I would have chose something like music, which I loved. After graduating, I took the first job that was offered to me, which was a mortgage loan officer. And I didn't even know what a mortgage was at 20, but I knew that the industry was booming, and my earning potential was kind of limitless. And that's what mattered. I needed to make money to buy more purses. And then I kind of combined steps 3 and 4, which was get married and have a baby because I'm super efficient like that. But I kind of got them backwards. I got a little ahead of myself. Had a baby, got married, whatever. I was a full-fledged adult by 23. And I did it quicker than anyone else, so I won. And then I thought, this can't be it. This is it. And within the next 3 years, my marriage had failed. And I remember when I was moving out of my marital home and packing my things, I was struck by this pile of purses and crap that I had accumulated, which included a knockoff Chanel, a knockoff Kate Spade. I mean, it was crap. And I was taken back to that time at 17 when I felt embarrassed because I came from a place where people didn't carry purses. And I realized for the first time how ridiculous that actually sounded. And it occurred to me that at 17, if I was embarrassed or felt out of place because I didn't own a purse, they would think that I was a real loser if they knew my real story. And it also seemed like at that time, your parents' occupation or wealth was in some way indicative of what your abilities were as an individual. So I was ashamed to say that I grew up in a single-wide trailer in a logging camp. I completely failed to realize the magic of my own story. I failed to realize the gift that I was given to grow up in a Tlingit Indian village in Alaska, where the societal norm there was that there really wasn't one. Everyone just was who they were, and if anything, it was dictated by the Tlingit culture, which placed an importance on respecting nature and your elders. And also women were actually the dominant family members, which is unusual. And I completely failed to realize how awesome my parents were and how lucky my brothers and I were to have them because they could do anything. My dad could hunt and fish and kept a freezer full of all the most delicious food that we caught right outside our door. And he could build a house from a book, and he could make bentwood boxes and paint and carve in the traditional Northwest Coast art style. And my mom could cook anything without a recipe and without half the ingredients she needed. She taught me how to bake. She cultivated the most beautiful garden in town. She knitted amazing hats and sweaters, and she even homeschooled 3 kids for a time. And our home was refuge to a lot of the other children in the village who had less good family environments. And they were really loved by everyone. They were even adopted into the Tlingit Indian clans, which in our town was a huge honor. They worked really, really hard at crappy jobs and to make sure that we had everything that we needed. And they taught us that hard work paid off and that we could do anything we wanted. They encouraged us to try everything, and nothing was a bad idea. We were never judged, never criticized, never doubted. And I was completely free to make my own way. And I knew that they would always be there no matter what choice I made. So as I was staring at a pile of purses, I knew that I needed to make a change in my life and do something with this gift that I was given to grow up in a place where, as far as I knew, gender discrimination didn't exist. And I had parents who had no expectation on me to do anything that I didn't want to do. And I felt that if I didn't do something awesome, then I would be doing a tremendous disservice to other girls my age. So I knew I needed to quit my job, which was an operations manager at an investment bank. And it took me 2 years to actually do that, but I did it. And when I did, I was terrified and I felt a little lost. So let's go back to this definition of magic. Magic is the science of understanding yourself and your conditions and the art of applying that understanding in action. my job was a result of finally understanding myself. And it was the first step in learning this art of applying that understanding to my actions. And everyone thought I was crazy for leaving a good job. But that's the really cool thing about art, is that it's not logical, and no one can tell you you're doing it wrong. There's no step-by-step process, and there's no easy-to-follow path to success. But I didn't really know what to do, so I thought I still needed a logical plan, maybe a little less step-by-step and more like big picture. I went and got help from a counselor to help navigate me through this new magical world. And which she told me made so much sense. She told me that I was tired and I needed to go play. And I was like, what? So she explained that human beings feed information into their logical, analytical, verbal part of their brain, which is actually tiny compared to the rest of it. And when we get tired, we stop thinking, and we switch on the other side of our brain, and we go play. And when we play, we imagine. And it's only after imagining that we can ever create something new. And she explained that that's how some of the world's biggest problems have been solved. So that's what I did. I went and did what I loved. I started playing. I started baking. And I baked, and I played, and I imagined, and I created all day, every day, until I was exhausted. But I went to bed every night energized, and I woke up in the morning ready to do it again. And the Lady Yum that you see today, if you guys have been to the shop, was not my first idea at all. It took me 3 years to imagine that and to create it. So when you start using all of your senses and all of your brain to and stop relying solely on logic to make your decisions, you just kind of lose the fear of failure or humiliation or shame that holds many of us back. And because you stop giving society permission to make you feel that way. And you open yourself up and you start connecting with people who want to support you. And you build trust and you give in to this concept that we all need each other. And things just start to fall into place through mysterious forces, magic. So, if you all are sitting here thinking, my story's nothing like hers, it's boring or lame or sad or tragic or normal, heaven forbid, you have to suspend your disbelief. Because as we all know from childhood, that magic does not exist unless you believe it does. Because there is magic in your story, and you just need to become enchanted with it and play and imagine and create. And if you get stuck along the way, then there's a little shop down the street that has champagne and macaroons, and that's what we're here for.